The desert wind howled like a wounded animal across the empty plains, carrying dust, regret, and the faint echo of gunfire long forgotten. In the dying light of a blood-red sunset, a lone rider pushed his horse harder than it deserved, its flanks slick with sweat, its breath ragged. His name was Cole Turner, a man known in 3 counties not for kindness, but for surviving things other men didn't. He wasn't running. Not exactly. But men like Cole didn't ride this hard unless something, or someone, was chasing them in their own mind. The town of Red Hollow appeared slowly through the haze, a broken line of wooden buildings leaning against time itself.
I didn't expect
The
to
saloon
see
doors
you
creaked
here.
lazily as the wind bullied its
We
way through the
need to
street.
talk about
A
what
rusted sign
happened.
swayed overhead. No
I
music.
know.
No laughter. Just silence, the dangerous kind. Cole dismounted, boots hitting dirt with purpose. He tied his horse outside the saloon and stepped in without hesitation. Inside,
You got a lot
the air
of
was
nerve
thick with
showing
whiskey and
your
suspicion.
face here.
A few men
I
turned.
ain't backing down,
Most
bro.
didn't. Behind the bar
Draw,
stood a
you
woman.
son of a bitch!
That alone was enough to make Cole pause. She wasn't like the others he'd seen in towns like this. No painted smile. No desperate eyes. She stood tall, sleeves rolled up, polishing the glass like she had nothing to prove. Her dark hair was tied back loosely, a few strands dancing across her face in the lantern light. Their eyes met. And for a moment, the entire world seemed to forget how to breathe. "Well," she said calmly, her voice steady but edged with something sharp, "you gonna stare all night, or you planning to order a drink?" Cole blinked, then smirked faintly as he stepped forward. "Whiskey," he said, voice low and worn. "And maybe some answers." She poured without breaking eye contact. "Answers cost more than whiskey. Depends how bad I need M." She slid the glass across the counter.
This feels so
"Then you better
right.
decide that quick, mister.
I
Red
never
Hollow ain't
wanna
kind to
let
men
you
asking
go.
questions." Cole took the drink but didn't sip it. "Name's Cole." She hesitated, just for a flicker of a second. "Eliza." The name lingered between them. Outside, the wind picked up again, rattling the windows like a warning. Cole leaned closer. "I'm looking for a man. Goes by the name Victor Hale." The room changed. Not loud. Not sudden. But subtle, like a snake coiling tighter. Eliza's hand froze on the glass she was holding. Just for a second. Then she set it down. "You're either brave," she said quietly, "or you've got a death wish." Cole finally took a sip of his whiskey. "I've been called worse." "You should leave," she said, softer now, almost concerned. Cole studied her face. There it was. Not fear, but something deeper. History. "I don't scare easy," he replied. "That's not what worries me." Before he could answer, the saloon doors slammed open behind him. Heavy boots. Spurs clinking. The kind of sound that didn't ask for permission. 3 men walked in, led by a tall figure with a cruel smile and cold eyes. Cole didn't turn around. He didn't need to. Eliza's face had already told him everything. "Looks like trouble found you first," she whispered. A voice came from behind, slow and dangerous. "Well now, if it ain't Cole Turner." Cole closed his eyes briefly, then exhaled. "Victor," he muttered. The room held its breath. Victor Hale stepped closer, boots thudding against the wooden floor. "Been a long time," Victor said, his voice dripping with amusement. "Didn't think you had the guts to show your face again." Cole turned slowly, his expression unreadable, but his hand rested just inches from his gun. "Didn't come for trouble," Cole said. Victor chuckled. "That's funny. 'Cause trouble's exactly what you brought." Eliza stepped back slightly, her eyes darting between them. Something wasn't right. Not just history. Something unfinished. Victor tilted his head. "You still chasing ghosts, Cole? Or is this about her?" Cole's jaw tightened. Careful what you say next, he warned. Victor's smile widened. Oh, so it is about her. The tension snapped tight like a drawn trigger. And in that moment, Eliza realized the truth. This wasn't just a meeting. This was a reckoning. And it was about to turn deadly. The saloon fell into a silence so heavy it felt like the walls themselves were holding their breath. Dust swirled through the open doorway behind Victor Hale, catching the dying sunlight like drifting embers. Every man in the room knew what came next. Violence didn't need an invitation in a place like Red Hollow. Cole Turner stood still, but there was nothing calm about him. His fingers hovered near his revolver, not trembling, not rushed, just waiting. Men who survived as long as Cole didn't draw first. They drew last. Victor smirked, stepping closer, his boots echoing like a ticking clock. You always did have that look, Victor said. Like you were the fastest gun in the West. Truth is, you were just lucky. Cole's voice came low and steady. Luck runs out. For everyone. Victor chuckled, glancing briefly at his men before his eyes shifted, toward Eliza. And yet, Victor continued, some folks still believe in miracles. Eliza stiffened. Don't, she said sharply, her voice cutting through the tension like a blade. Victor raised a brow. Don't what? Speak the truth. Cole's eyes narrowed. Leave her out of this. Victor laughed again, louder this time. That's the problem, Cole, she was never out of it. The words landed like a gunshot. Eliza's face hardened, but her eyes betrayed something deeper, fear mixed with anger, and something else, guilt. Cole turned slightly toward her. What's he talking about? She didn't answer. Victor stepped closer, now just a few feet away. Go on, Eliza. Tell him. Or should I? Shut up, Victor, she snapped. But it was too late. The truth was already clawing its way into the room. Victor's voice dropped, more dangerous now. You see, Cole, the last time you came looking for me, you lost everything. Cole's jaw clenched. I didn't lose anything. Victor tilted his head. Didn't you? Funny. I remember a man begging for his life. For his partner. For the woman caught in between. Cole's hand tightened into a fist. That wasn't how it happened. No. Victor said, stepping even closer. Then why don't you ask her who opened the door that night? The room seemed to spin, just slightly. Cole looked at Eliza again, really looked this time. Her silence said everything. The past hit him like a bullet. 3 years ago. A raid gone wrong. A safe house exposed. His partner dead. And a shadow slipping through the back before the gunfire started. No, Cole whispered, more to himself than anyone else. Eliza finally spoke, her voice quieter now, but steady. I didn't have a choice. Cole's eyes burned into hers. There's always a choice. Victor smiled, enjoying every second. Oh, she had a choice. Just not a good one. Eliza stepped forward now, her hands clenched. You think I wanted that? You think I didn't pay for it every single day? Cole shook his head slowly, disbelief mixing with anger. You sold us out. I saved you, she fired back. That stopped him. For a moment, the entire world paused again. Victor laughed, clapping slowly. Now there's a twist, ain't it? Eliza's voice cracked slightly, but she held her ground. Victor was going to kill you both. I made a deal. 1 life, for 1 life. Cole's expression darkened. So you chose mine. I chose the one who still had something left to live for. The words cut deeper than any knife. Cole stepped back, as if the distance might make it hurt less. You don't get to decide that, he said coldly. Victor exhaled, clearly amused. Well now, this is getting real emotional. His tone shifted suddenly. Problem is, he added, reaching slowly for his gun, I don't like unfinished business. In an instant, everything changed. The air snapped. Cole's hand moved. So did Victor's. A gunshot exploded through the saloon. Glass shattered. A man screamed. And when the smoke cleared, one of Victor's men lay on the floor, clutching his chest. Cole stood firm, gun drawn, eyes like stone. Victor froze for just a second, then smiled again, slower this time. Well, he said quietly, guess we're doing this the hard way. Eliza's heart pounded as she looked between them. Past sins. Broken trust. Blood in the dust. There was no walking away anymore. Only one truth remained. Not everyone was leaving Red Hollow alive. The gunshot still echoed in the wooden bones of the saloon, ringing like a death bell that refused to fade. Smoke curled lazily from Cole Turner's revolver, drifting upward into the lantern light, where it twisted like a ghost reluctant to leave. The man on the floor coughed once, then went still. No one moved. Not yet. Victor Hale's smile faded, just a fraction, replaced by something colder. Calculated. Dangerous. Well now, Victor said slowly, his voice quieter but far more lethal, seems you still got a little fight left in you. Cole didn't respond. His gun stayed trained, steady as stone, but his eyes flicked, just for a second, toward Eliza. She noticed. And in that glance, she understood something that hit harder than any bullet. He didn't trust her. Not anymore. Cole, she said softly, almost pleading. Don't, he cut in, his voice sharp without even looking at her. Not now. The words stung, but she swallowed them. This wasn't the moment for regret. This was survival. Victor shifted his stance, his boots scraping lightly against the floor. His remaining man stepped back, uncertain now, his confidence bleeding out with his fallen partner. You know how this ends, Victor said. It always ends the same. One man walks away. The other gets buried. Cole finally spoke, his tone flat. Then stopped talking. The tension snapped again. Victor moved first this time, fast, but not fast enough. 2 shots cracked through the air almost at once. Wood splintered. A mirror behind the bar shattered into 1,000 glittering pieces. Eliza ducked instinctively, covering her head as chaos erupted around her. When she looked up, Victor's man was down. And Victor himself staggered back, clutching his side, blood seeping through his fingers. Cole stood where he was, breathing hard now, his arm extended, gun still aimed. Silence returned, but it was different this time. Heavier. Final. Victor looked down at the blood on his hand, then back at Cole. And slowly, he laughed. You always did ruin my plans, he muttered. Cole stepped forward, cautious but unrelenting. It's over, Victor. Victor shook his head slightly. No, it ain't. Before Cole could react, Victor's hand twitched, diving for the hidden pistol at his back. Eliza, move. Cole shouted. Time slowed. She saw it all, the motion, the intent, the inevitable end rushing toward them like a storm. And for the first time in 3 years, she made her own choice. Eliza stepped forward. The gunshot came like thunder. Her body jerked. Then everything went quiet. Cole's eyes widened in horror. No. Victor froze, his expression flickering with something unexpected, shock. Eliza staggered, her hand pressed against her side as blood spread through her shirt. She didn't fall right away. She stood there, breathing uneven, eyes locked on Cole. Victor recovered first, raising his weapon again, but this time, Cole didn't hesitate. One final shot. Clean. Precise. Victor Hale dropped to the floor without another word. Dead before he hit the ground. The world stopped. Cole rushed forward, catching Eliza as her knees finally gave out. He lowered her gently, his hands trembling now, hands that had faced death 100 times without fear. Why, his voice broke, why would you do that? Eliza winced, but a faint, tired smile touched her lips. Guess. I owed you one, she whispered. Cole shook his head, desperate. No, no, you don't get to say that. You don't get to fix this like that. Her hand weakly gripped his shirt. I didn't just save you back then, she said, her voice fading. I was trying to save what I felt. Cole's breath caught. All this time, she continued, you were the only thing that made me believe I wasn't, just another mistake. The confession hit harder than any bullet ever could. Outside, the wind howled again, carrying dust through the open door like time itself was slipping away. Cole pressed his hand against her wound, trying to stop the bleeding, but it wasn't enough. It was never going to be enough. Stay with me, he said, his voice breaking now. You hear me? You don't get to leave. Eliza's eyes softened. I think. I already stayed longer than I deserved. Her grip loosened. Cole, she whispered one last time. And then. Nothing. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was devastating. Cole sat there, holding her, as the sun finally dipped below the horizon, and for the first time in years. He felt something he couldn't fight. Loss. Real, final, loss. The night settled over Red Hollow like a funeral shroud, quiet and suffocating. The wind had calmed, as if even the desert understood that something sacred had been lost. Inside the saloon, the broken glass no longer shimmered, it lay dull and lifeless, like everything else in the room. Cole Turner hadn't moved. He sat on the floor, Eliza cradled in his arms, her blood dried against his hands, his shirt, his soul. The lantern above flickered weakly, casting shadows that danced across her still face. She looked peaceful now, too peaceful for a place like this. Damn you, he whispered, though there was no anger left in it. Just grief. Why'd you have to go and do that? But deep down, he knew the answer. Because she had already chosen him once before. And this time, she chose him again. The weight of it pressed down on him harder than any bullet ever could. Slowly, carefully, Cole lowered her to the floor. His movements were gentle, almost reverent, like a man afraid the world might break further if he wasn't careful. He took off his coat and laid it over her, covering the wound, covering the past that had finally caught up with them. For a long moment, he just looked at her. Then he stood. The room felt different now. Empty. Hollow in a way that had nothing to do with the town's name. Victor Hale's body still lay where it had fallen, eyes open, as lifeless as the future he once controlled. Cole walked over and stared down at him. All that death, he muttered. All that blood, for nothing. He holstered his revolver slowly, like a man putting away a part of himself he no longer wanted. Outside, the first hints of dawn began to creep across the horizon, painting the sky in cold shades of gray and pale gold. A new day was coming. But Cole wasn't sure he deserved to see it. He stepped out into the street, the wooden boards creaking under his boots. The town was still asleep, or pretending to be. Windows remained shut. Doors stayed closed. No one wanted to witness what came after violence. That was the way of places like this. Cole walked to the edge of town where the desert began again. The same endless stretch of land. The same unforgiving silence. But something inside him had changed. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small object, a silver pendant, worn with time. He stared at it for a long moment before tightening his grip. She believed in something better, he said quietly to himself. Even when I didn't. The wind picked up again, softer now, almost like a whisper. Cole turned back toward the town. Toward the saloon. Toward her. An hour later, the townsfolk finally gathered. Quiet. Cautious. Curious. They watched from a distance as Cole dug the grave himself just outside Red Hollow. The sun had risen by then, casting long shadows across the earth as each shovel of dirt fell with a heavy, final thud. No preacher. No prayers. Just a man, trying to make something right in a world that rarely allowed it. When it was done, Cole stood there, staring at the simple wooden marker he had placed. Eliza. No last name. No past. Just a name that meant everything now. I should have trusted you, he said softly. Back then, and now. The wind carried his words away. For a while, he didn't move. Then finally, he turned. His horse waited where he'd left it, patient as ever. Cole mounted slowly, his movements heavier now, not from injury, but from everything he carried inside. Before riding off, he looked back one last time. At the grave. At the town. At the life he could never have. I'll make it mean something, he promised under his breath. Then he rode. Not as a man running anymore. But as a man carrying a story, a love, and a loss that would follow him across every mile of the Wild West. And somewhere in the endless desert wind. It almost felt like she was still there. Not gone. Just, waiting.